The Avett Brothers, live in concert, Friday, August 25th, Wells Fargo Arena. On sale now at HighVTix.com.
Chris Williams, Chris Hassel. Two guys named Chris. Presented by Fairway Meat and Grocery. From the Channel Seed Studios, this is Iowa Everywhere.
Channel Seed. Seedsmanship at work.
Welcome to Two Guys Named Chris. Perhaps an explosive episode, as we have a lot to cover today with, of course, the sports gambling situation in our state. And Hassel, I don't want to overpromise because I don't know for a fact it could end up being a dud still, but we may have one of the great realignment days in history here today and tomorrow. I know. I'm sorry. I know you hate this topic, but we have to talk about it with Arizona having a Board of Regents meeting later on tonight, perhaps with both Arizona and Arizona State going to the Big 12. Perhaps not. I've made some calls too, and I think that they could stop at 14 as well. There's a lot to talk about there. And we want to thank our presenting sponsor, Fairway Meat and Grocery. Go out and get those bratwursts. Go get yourself some meat for the upcoming weekend. And we are, of course, in the Channel Seed Studios. Real quick, you told me when you were back in Iowa, you got a relative who's a Channel Seedsman?
Yeah, my stepdad, Dave, he's got a farm, and he's got a Channel Seedsman.
What's Dave's last name?
Peterson. It's the
Dave
Peterson farm in Muscatoon, Iowa. And
Shout out to Dave Peterson.
He's a proud Channel Seedsman. I
That's
had the name of the Channel Seedsman, but for whatever reason, I don't have my... Boy, I'm a mess today.
I thought he is a Channel Seedsman. He is the Channel Seedsman.
Well, he owns the farm.
Oh.
But he has a Channel Seedsman.
Oh, he has a Channel Seedsman. Okay.
Who puts the seed in his field.
Got it. Okay. I thought he was...
And I had the name, but... Because I thought I was going to talk about this on Monday, but you totally blew past it, and now I don't have my phone.
It was kind of a busy show. I'm sorry. There was a lot going on Monday. We didn't get to everything.
Like there's not today?
Jeez.
This is the first time I've ever not had my phone. This could be disastrous.
Today is going to be, we've got two topics to get to. I think we should start with realignment because we have more to add to that conversation. We're a little late on the gambling thing, but that's okay.
Why are we so late on that? What happened?
There's a lot going on.
I was promised a press release a couple nights ago from the DCI.
It came out yesterday. It was about 12 hours late, but it didn't say anything that we didn't already know on all that. Well, let's start with realignment because I just feel like that's going to be the story of the day. Mm-hmm. Feels like the gambling thing we're in the bottom of the eighth there. As far as how this goes, there's probably one more news thing to drop. The NCAA stuff.
I'm going to argue. With that. I think I would say we're only in the fourth inning.
Explain yourself. Interesting. Okay.
Because this is just the announcement of the criminal charges.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea how these are going to go, who's going to put up a big defense, what's going to happen with, Hunter Deckers. Will they ever get to play again? Not just for Iowa State, but period. And I'm really interested in knowing the other players and how many games they might miss, and if the NCAA rules on this before the season starts. I mean, if they don't, then they're going to have to sit out forever.
Okay.
So I think we're not even halfway through this thing.
Oh, I disagree with that. I'll back mine up. We're in the top of the seventh. How about that? Can we meet there?
See, all we know is the players who are being criminally charged, 7. And there's, 30 to 35 other ones.
That's for Iowa. For Iowa State, it would be – because Iowa State only had 15. So we're about halfway done as far as theirs goes.
I'm talking total between the two schools.
Oh, okay.
I think there's 30 to 35 more.
I just don't know how they're going to do that.
They're going to miss games.
I don't know how Iowa State and Iowa will do that. My guess, and this is just a guess, like we've seen before when a guy or a gal is NCAA ineligible, let's say a foreign player and the visa is not there, or something like that. That's not like criminal. We've seen when they're not eligible, the universities will just tell us this player is currently deemed ineligible by the NCAA. So like usually though, like for fans who want to know the inner work, like let's say a player fails an off-season drug test. Okay, that would be a violation of team rules where they do not disclose what happened, and they're out for half of the first game of the year or whatever. My guess here is that once the NCAA comes in, they're just going to put out a press release and say these guys are currently ineligible according to the NCAA for however many games, and then that's my guess, but I don't know. Like it.
And do you really think that's coming soon?
No, I think it'll be. The
'Cause I don't
timeline in
either.
my head is that they probably got all that to the NCAA in the last week, and then now it shouldn't be that long though, Chris, because the NCAA just updated their deal. Like it's pretty cut and dry.
But but what does the DCI releasing the 7 names of the guys who are being criminally prosecuted? What does that have to do with the NCAA?
Nothing.
So
Absolutely.
why do we think that these are tied together and that like the timeline is going to be okay? Now the NCAA can do their thing.
Reason being because I think a lot happened last week as far as like fact gathering goes. I'm going off of like information that I've had on reporting on this. I think that the NCAA likely has the information it needs now. And again, like they just put out that thing like a couple weeks ago. Like if you bet this much, this is what your suspension is. If you bet this much, this is what your suspension is. And I don't think it's going to be that hard of a process for them. But maybe I'm wrong. It is the NCAA. Who knows?
I think you'll be wrong.
Okay. You don't think we'll know by kickoff? I do.
God, well, we're still a month away. It was a month yesterday, right? Yesterday was a month to week 1, Iowa and Iowa State kicking off. God, I would hope so. I would put it 50-50 that we know by then.
Okay.
Because as we've been saying all along, this is the DNR, or the DCI, I should say.
The DNR.
And the DNR, out there, Department of Natural
You
Resources.
got the tag for that deer?
Hunter Deckers actually illegally shot an elephant at the Blank Park Zoo. No, I'd put it at 50-50 because the DCI and the NCAA aren't doing the same thing. They're not really working together, I don't think. And I just don't have faith that the NCAA is gonna move quickly on this.
We'll see. I think we'll know, but I
Okay.
could be wrong.
I hope so.
Okay, so we started with gambling. We may as well keep going with it.
No, I don't want to crush your dream of starting with.
Whatever you want to do, Hassel.
No, because
whatever
if
you
we
want to
go
do.
into this gambling thing, we might never get to realignment.
Well, I think today's going to be I know today's going to be a wild one because Arizona, the state of Arizona's regents are meeting this evening. And, it looks like they're going to discuss moving those programs to the Big 12. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to dissect here because the Big 10 got involved yesterday.
Yeah. That was no mistake. That was no mistake that story was leaked.
Correct. So the Big 10 is reportedly investigating Oregon and Washington, and Cal and Stanford were also in the mix here. I want to give you my read on this is throughout Big 12 expansion, I've been pretty confident that the networks, I think the league would love to grow to 16. Okay. The networks, it is not just talk. There's not a lot of money right now to spend on more media rights.
You talking not a lot of money from the networks?
Correct. In
And
fact,
these conferences are going to need more money if they're adding these teams. Because if
Correct.
they don't
Somebody has
get
to
more
pay
money,
them.
they can't add the teams.
correct. Somebody has to pay these teams. So this is just a theory. Now that the Big Ten is involved, so the Big Ten is exclusively off of ESPN. People need to remember that. So when we're talking about Big Ten teams, ESPN, who's half of the Big 12's partner, has nothing to do with these Big Ten teams. Fox is going to have to pay the biggest chunk of any Big Ten additions. Okay? It was kind of floated to me last night as a working theory that, again, the networks have always preferred the Big 12 to stop at 14 for now. For now, not forever, but for now, to basically save money. Like, yeah, it's technically in your contract that you can grow to 16 and we'll pay it, but we would prefer it if you don't. Well, now if Fox has to pay 2 Pac-12 schools to go to the Big Ten, are they really going to want to pay?
They wouldn't have to pay as much, right? I mean, the
Yes.
share
it would
is
be a
going
lower
to be
share.
less for Washington and Oregon in the Big Ten compared to what USC and UCLA got.
Correct. Yeah, they got full shares from, and that's almost certainly not going to happen. There's another aspect of this where other TV partners could come in. Like, this could be an opportunity for the Big 12, in my opinion, to add, okay, Amazon, you want a couple games a week? Okay. And sweeten the deal, give us a little bit more money. The one that's really fascinating to me is that CW, they just added, so they added the ACC, their sub-licensing thing with ESPN a couple weeks ago. They just signed a big contract, like a 7-year deal with NASCAR for basically NASCAR's its Xfinity series, which is like its minor league. They have an NFL show, like an Inside the NFL show. Like, they're really investing in sports, and that's basically over the air from what I understand. So that could be a potential partner if somebody wants to sweeten the deal. But again, with Arizona and Arizona State going tonight in this, I am not 100% convinced that the Big 12 takes 2 or 3. I think they would like to. If Utah would be like, hey, I want to go too, I think that would be an ideal situation for the Big 12. But I just, my question is, where's the money coming from? And I don't know if Fox has to pay for Big Ten expansion here too. It's just there's only so much money to go around. And that's why the Big 12 has been a bit of a power spot here because, you know, when you're Arizona and Colorado and you're looking around, there may not be a seat for you when this thing's done. And everybody's panicking, and that's why right now you're seeing Florida State chirping. I don't know if the waters have ever been this rough when it comes to college athletics. And the next 48 hours are going to really do a lot to dictate the future of the sport.
Yeah, and like you said, there's just so many things going on that you don't really think about, like maybe a network not wanting to spend a certain amount of money, and that might keep a team from going to a certain conference. So this Board of Regents meeting, is this Arizona and Arizona State that we're dealing with here?
Yes.
Okay. Are they, because we always heard that they want to be a package deal, and a lot of these state schools do. But how could the Big 12 say, hey, no, we don't want Arizona State, we only want Arizona? And why would they do that?
Because you only have room for one, maybe.
And risk Arizona saying, you know what, we're not coming if Arizona State isn't coming.
I just don't think that's going to happen based on the knowledge I have. From what I've gathered over the last year, again, this is not my sourcing over the last day. This has gone on for a year. Colorado and Arizona have been loving up to the Big 12 really since the USC-UCLA news broke. I mean, I reported to my premium members like the day after that the Four Corner schools are the target, Arizona and Colorado are the top two, because it's been very obvious. Arizona State has been, and there's a tie here. Arizona State's president's an Iowa State guy. Okay, used to be a professor there. Like, he's an Iowa State guy. They are very, it's not a bad thing, but they're very Pac-12. Arizona State is very, we're an elite academic institution. They don't want to be rubbing elbows with Texas Tech and Iowa State, and, you know, they're very, and that's fine, whatever. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, like, they've been pretty standoffish towards the Big 12 until the last 5 days. So I don't think the Big 12 would care. Like, I don't think Arizona would if there's one spot there, the Big 12 has told Arizona, listen, if you don't do this, we're taking UConn. And you might be screwed, which I think UConn's been a chip this whole time, but we'll find out.
I think that would be a mistake. I mean, if you're not going to add Arizona State, well, why add UConn? I mean, what is UConn going to do for you other than basketball compared to an Arizona or an Arizona State?
I don't think that they want to add UConn over those two. I think it's just being used as collateral.
Yeah, but if we're talking about, oh gosh, we're being stretched too thin with the money, and maybe these networks aren't going to pay, is a network really going to pay for UConn football?
No. Funny you bring that up. Do you know what a pro rata is?
Kind of, but not really.
I'll explain it to the audience. So pro rata.
Pro rata.
A pro rata in these contracts means that if you add a new team to your conference, the television partners have to pay for it, essentially. Mm-hmm. And the pro rata in the Big 12s says that if they add another Power 5 school, they will pay for it. They
Which
have
UConn
to.
Is not.
Says so in the contract. UConn is not. I'm very confident that they would be a partial share member until the next TV deal. So that would be until it would be the same deal as Oregon and Washington if they would enter the Big Ten. If you're part of the league, but you're not getting paid as much.
To me, this entire thing feels like a formality. I feel like I've thought from the start, Colorado's going to end up in the Big 12. Arizona State are going to end up in the Big 12. Washington and Oregon are going to end up in the Big 10. I think, to me, the Pac-12 stuff feels like a formality to me. It's the ACC stuff that I don't know. Because of that TV contract that goes for another 10-plus years and the huge buyout that these teams are going to have to make to get out of that conference, that's the one where I don't know. But I don't know. I just can't imagine this not going that way at this point, with Arizona and Arizona State both going to the Big 12 and maybe Utah coming
have
too.
To be Utah, I would think. I mean,
I
honestly...
It just seems like Washington State and Oregon State are going to be heading to the Mountain West. Actually, what I think they'll do is they will withhold the Pac name, and they will return to the Pac-10 or Pac-12 or Pac-8 with the addition of the Boise's and the San Diego States. That's how I think this is.
That'd be a fun league.
Yeah, well, yes, it would, but it wouldn't be a top level league.
No, it would basically be your Western version of the American.
Yeah,
right.
Which is a shame. I mean,
look
at Oregon State. Oregon State is likely going to be a top 20 team going into the season. They won 10 games last year. They're a sexy pick.
I need to get a few things off my chest.
Uh-huh.
First of all, Tim McGraw tickets are on sale tomorrow. Iowa Event Center. I'm an Indian outlaw, half Cherokee and Choctaw. My baby, she's a Chippewa. Wow. Tomorrow. HighVTix.com. I have two rants I need to go on with this realignment thing. The first is going to be aimed at TV executives and school presidents, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what's going to happen, and this is following up on what you just said. We're going to end up with these 3 20 to 25 team conferences, okay? That's how this is going when the ACC implodes, whatever. And then it's going to be chalked up into regions / smaller divisions. Earmuffs, kids. This is what we've been fucking telling you to do for 20 years. And they're going about it in the most painful, bureaucratic, bullshit way known to man. And it's infuriating to me that it's infuriating to me that we've given our favorite sport all the power, these guys in these TV executive rooms, right? And there's nobody looking out for our sport. Oregon State and Washington State deserve to be at the table with the big boys. They do. They've done everything asked of them. They have passionate fan bases. They're getting relegated because Iowa State fans, Iowa fans, you guys are lucky that you were in the Big Ten 100 years ago, because you'd be in the same spot because it's our population centers. We don't have big population centers. Oregon State and Washington State are being penalized because they're rural land-grant schools without a huge metropolitan around it. That is wrong. It is wrong. And here's my other point that I'm kind of pissed off about today.
Go off, King.
Sitting around watching these guys bloviate on Twitter. Oh, this is so wrong. The Pac-12 makes college football better. We're going to have a whole region of the country that doesn't care about the sport. You're the same jackass that was cheering on the demise of the Big 12 for the last 10 years. Now it matters to you. Now the TV people are bad because you're not the one doing the poaching. And it is just infuriating to me, the hypocrisy that is just flying around out there right now. I saw one guy, this Pac-12 guy yesterday, that really teed me off. And he said, TV executives are ruining our sport. You're 15, 20 years late to the party, bro. This has been going on. It's just impacting the schools you like now. All right, I'm done.
So everything you just said there, that is why I despise realignment. It's ruining the game that we grew up loving. We love college football and college athletics because it's your school and you are playing the same teams every year. And now these conferences are going to be so big where you might not see, if you're in Iowa, you might not see Ohio State, Michigan for 5-6 years. And it's college sports is the tradition, the pageantry. It just feels good, And now it's just icky. It's icky because you can't trust anybody. And how about the Big Ten having the audacity to put out there yesterday via sources
It's the most Big Ten thing
well,
ever.
we don't want to. We don't want to go deal the death blow to the Pac-12. We don't want to do that. We're too nice to do that. But if it's going to blow up anyway, then we'll grab those other schools. But we don't want to be the ones to ruin this.
Yeah.
You did. You were the ones. You took USC and UCLA and started this whole thing.
The Big Ten has been the most predatory conference in America.
Yeah, and that was
throughout all of
after the old Kevin Warren handshake, pat on the ass deal for the alliance.
The crazy part is the conference that's constantly been, scavenged, the Big 12, is now being presented as like the killer. And it's just like, and as a Big 12 fan, I'm like, yeah, we're finally putting our foot on the gas, finally doing something other than being picked
If
apart.
you
and then
aren't
the Big Ten
proactive,
is like claiming innocence here.
Yes, you have to be proactive, especially if you're a lower level like the Big 12. You have to be proactive, or else you'll end up like the Pac-12, which really isn't going to exist very soon. But if you're the Big Ten, if you're the SEC, you're going to be fine. You don't have to go pillage these. I mean, it makes me sick to think that Stanford and Cal are probably going to be in the Big Ten.
You want to get even more sick? And the Iowa State fans, you're not left out of this either. Wait until our schools are part of the Big 12 and the Big 10 West. And our new quote-unquote rivals are Cal, Stanford, Washington, Arizona State, Utah, BYU. And those are the teams that we play every year.
I don't think that's going to happen with the Big Ten. With the Big Ten, I see it as they're adding these schools. Because we've said this all along. When they added USC and UCLA, that could not just be the only two teams out west they could add. They have to add more teams to give them some pod partners. You have to at least add Oregon and Washington. And if you also add Stanford and Cal, then you have 6 teams there on the West Coast that are in their own little pod where you don't have to travel to the Midwest and the East as much. And I don't think that Iowa would get caught up in that, because that would just be sick. If it's Iowa, Nebraska.
If they do a West, you're in the West. So is Iowa State. I'm telling you.
I think that they're going to add enough teams to make it so there's either a 4-team pod or a 6-team pod.
I hope so.
And Iowa wouldn't be part of that.
I hope
now,
you're right.
Iowa State, on the other hand, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do that. I've seen people, put out their mocks of a Big 12 North, I even saw one that grouped. Oh, this was the worst one. It was like Iowa State would be in a division with Cincinnati, West Virginia, and UCF. Can you imagine? I mean, Iowa next year, they're going to LA and they're going to Rutgers. Coast to coast in conference. And this
Here's
is football.
where we're going to.
Think about the cross country and your Iowa State tennis team that's going to be traveling all
elite
over.
Iowa State tennis team, Final Four.
And plus, as Bad Benny points out, you're going to be heading down to Mexico City too.
Oh, have you thought about this too? So we both grew up in an era where the Big 12 North was just bad, right? Compared to the South.
I've had people arguing with me about that, because I've always compared, since the Big 10 West went into existence, I've always compared the Big 10 West to the Big 12 North.
Yeah, it's fair. The Big 12 North had some upsets in the championship game, but overall,
the Big 12 North started off okay when Nebraska and Kansas State were good. But the Big 12 North I remember is from 2003 to 2006.
It's a fair comparison. You can nitpick it. It's fair. If you thought those days of uneven scheduling were bad, you just wait until the next 10 years, baby. You just wait until the next 10 years. These schedules are going to be, and I'm just spoiled because we've had this round robin in the Big 12 for the last, and it's been amazing.
It's been great. That's what I've loved about the Big 12 of late. Is that everybody plays everybody. And now I'm so jealous of that in the Big Ten.
Well, not anymore. Not anymore. We are presented by Fairway Meat and Grocery in the Channel Seed Studios. We have a record live audience today, according to
is that back-to-back shows?
Back-to-back shows, we've set record live audiences. Matty Van Winkle reports to us.
People love the realignment. People love it.
I'm telling you, there's nothing more for websites and
there's nothing more American than realignment. Do whatever the hell you want. This is the red, white, and blue. We'll come in and raid your goddamn conference with our guns.
Come join us in Las Vegas, August 24th through the 27th, where you can sign up for Circa Survivor and Circa Millions 5, the biggest pro football contest in Vegas, worth a total of $14 million in guaranteed
We're going out there
prizes.
3 weeks from today.
Yep, we'll be on out there, and hopefully we can get you picked up in the limo this time. We'll see.
I think you're working some kind of strings behind the scene too. From the Fairway Meat Box never showing up.
Hey, pick Hassel up in the shittiest car that you guys have, if you don't mind.
You every time somebody goes out there, whether it's you or Van Hwink or John Miller or Brent Bloom, they're always getting picked up at the airport in this amazing Circa limo, like a stretch limo. All this beer, alcohol. And I show up, and it's this guy, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing, Mr. Hazel?" And I said, "Hey, good. It's like, all right, well, I don't have the limo today, but I do have the Denali. You just have to sit up in the front seat with me. And I don't have any beer. I don't have any beer, but I do have Dasani." Like, see, there's that. Van Wink's got the picture of the stretch limo. That's what everybody else gets picked up in. I saw Bloom and his wife hopping out of that thing.
Yeah.
And I'm in this, it was like a 2007 Denali.
That's nice.
And the worst part about it was You're in the stretch limo. You're back there by yourself. You don't have to talk to anybody. I'm having to have a conversation with the driver because I'm sitting right next to him.
And you don't like that part.
No.
You don't like talking to people.
No. I will search out Uber drivers that will say, like, I won't talk to you.
Let's move on to the sports betting conversation, which I really hate this topic. There's so many layers to it. There's the criminal stuff that's come out, and then there's really the human side of this too. Like if you bet on your own team, you probably, I don't really have a lot of sympathy for you with a lot of the stuff that we're seeing coming out. There's other ones that are more NCAA thing that didn't get criminal charges against them, where I actually really feel bad for these guys. They're young people that made a mistake.
We still don't know yet, Chris, though, if those players are ones that bet on their team.
We don't know. I'm guessing that the majority of the other ones have not. I'm guessing
the majority have not, but we're talking 30-plus people. There might be more that I was stunned. I'm going to be honest with you. I was stunned that players not only bet on their own team, that one player bet on his own team in a game he played in, Awazarike, who's no longer a part of the team. He's in the NFL.
Which, of what we've seen, is the worst charge, I think, of what we've seen come out so far. That would be that Iowa kicker betting the under.
The Iowa kicker might be the worst one because that's a big jump from betting on your own team
to win, which I assume if they would have bet against your team, then it would have been a point-shaving thing, and we've told that that's not the case. So I'm guessing these guys bet on their team to win.
Well, so we were told from the beginning that the integrity of the game was never in question, which told me that, okay, no point shaving, but you know what? A kicker betting the under is really close. Now, I know he didn't play. He could have. I mean, he's a backup kicker. He could have been out there. And he was out there on the sideline. Who knows, whose ear he has, what he's saying. Now, I do not think for 1 second that game he bet on, where he took the under, Iowa and Iowa State 2021, I don't think for 1 second that there was anything done in that game to make it go under. I really do not think that. But that is not the point here. The point here is we are getting really close. And this is just from the 7 players who are being criminally charged. We also have the 30-plus who we know bet on something. I don't know if it was their own game. I don't know if it was just, golf. Then we also have the 30-plus other states where gambling is legal, where they haven't investigated any of this stuff. So this tells me that there are a lot of players out there betting on their own games. And not just under the table. I mean, legit paper trail betting on their own games. Also, what worries me is that from what we've been told, they didn't look into every single way you can gamble online. They didn't look into whether or not somebody walked into a casino and placed a bet at the sports book. All we know is that they looked into the DraftKings and FanDuel accounts. Who's to say that these players don't have other accounts? Because how many ways can you bet on a sporting event in Iowa? You're sitting there on your Circa app, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's, 10 casinos?
So
no, not casinos, but sports. I'm just trying to think of all the different sports books and stuff, and then all the different places you can walk it. And then the I think it's worth noting here is most of the stuff, not most of it, almost exclusively the thing yesterday from the last 2 days, that is the tampering and like screwing with your name and betting under somebody else's name and that type of thing.
And I don't really care about that much. We know what that is. That's underage players that need the avenue, need the account from whether it's their parent, their older sibling, their friend. That, whatever. I don't really care about that. And honestly, I don't care about the amount of money bet. That doesn't, I hate that these NCAA punishments are going to be tied to the amount of money bet. To me, that does not matter. Because somebody is going to come from a much richer family. Somebody is going to have a lot more NIL. Why does that matter? To me, all that matters is what you're betting on. If you are betting on your own team, you're done. Period. And in the NCAA rules, isn't it a full year at minimum if you bet on your own team?
I think if you bet on your own team, you're done.
I can't imagine that any of these players that bet on their own team will ever be allowed to play again.
I would agree.
In college. That is a really, really slippery slope. And I'm surprised how many people I've seen that don't really think it's that big of a deal. That, oh, yeah, the players made a mistake, but, it's not. Because I think that some people are thinking that we are attacking the players for doing just this unthinkable thing. I don't think any of these people deserve any jail time or anything like that.
No.
I think the punishment is going to be you're not going to be able to play again, and that's fine. What worries me is from the standpoint of a fan of sports and something that can tear this all down is if you start doubting the integrity of the game. And if we know already that just from this little thing that the DCI did, that a kicker bet the under on his own game that he could have appeared in, that's really scary. Because that means it's going on in a bunch of other states. And maybe those players played. So I think that this has to be a wake-up call to these other states to start putting something in place. Because it's going on. And the only way that you're going to be able to stop it is to investigate, maybe not go back years, but say now we are going to start tracking athletes more than we have in the past to make sure that there's no funny business going on. And I think that would help put but help put a barrier in place, because I don't think we're going to see this that much more in the state of Iowa after this.
Williams, you remember when Bohannon was talking about this, where he tried to sign up for some app and it wouldn't let him? They had the team must have submitted or something names to these.
Yeah, because he was a pro athlete.
Because he's a pro. So I almost think that maybe
he cannot bet on NBA basketball because he's and he knows that.
Professional.
But Hassel, you're probably more aware of it. If you're an NFL player, you can legally bet on golf.
Whereas if you are a college golfer, you cannot legally bet on the NFL.
Correct.
And see, that's where I don't like that at all. I think that college players, if let's just say Hunter Deckers, I'm fine with him betting on the NBA Finals. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's not a big deal.
It's legal. It's legal in the state.
But you can't bet on your own. You can't bet on college football.
Correct.
And you certainly can't bet on your own team.
It's common sense is what we're talking about here with this stuff. And what I could see happening, and I've used this example before, but it's we're calling for this. Well, and I don't even know if I don't know honestly off the top of my head which states have legal gambling, but this could turn into a deal where Alabama's DCI or Oklahoma's is no, we're not going to do this.
Yeah, because it's going to be bad for business. It's going to be bad for us. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, because they will be public enemy number one if they do that. But
I'm guessing, too, the more I've learned about this is that Iowa's DCI was, I don't know what they were tipped off to, but something started this. I don't think they were just hey, we're going to go out and
No. Something happened.
yeah.
I can't wait to find out how this all started and how they decided to move this investigation to Iowa State as well and not to Northern Iowa. I can't wait to hear this. Why they decided to put the geofence up around Iowa City and Ames and not Cedar Falls.
I was looking back to what the NCAA on May 2nd, the rules they applied after May 2nd. It says student athletes who engage in activities to influence the outcomes of their own games or knowingly provide information to individuals involved in sports betting activities will potentially face permanent loss of collegiate eligibility in sports. So it's not a yes for sure, but it's a most likely or a good chance.
Yeah, I just can't imagine Hunter Decker's. Gosh, unless they go in and they change these rules even more to be more lenient, can you allow him to play somewhere else?
I think he'll. All this stuff is alleged. We have to say that. And his attorney is adamant that he did not bet on that game in 2021, according to the reporting that we've seen. If he did, I feel like he's got to go to NAIA or something. But
Yeah,
it just
I
feels
think he'll
like
pop
that's
up
the
at
way
St.
this is.
Ambrose. Come play for the Bees, Hunter.
You should. Who's St. Ambrose NIL director? Does St. Ambrose have a beer?
Sure, it's no one. No beers yet for St. Ambrose. They're 4 behind Iowa State. Have we announced a 5th beer yet, Williams? Maybe the Chiswick beer?
I said this.
There's got to be a Chiswick beer, right?
I made a Chiswick beer like 6 years ago with Barn.
No, you. What?
Yeah. I was doing this way before these.
Firmly
collectives
entrenched, right? Firmly
Yeah.
entrenched.
I have the can somewhere. It's out in my living room. I made a. Matt, see if you can find a picture of it. I made a Chiswick beer like 6 years ago. So we started doing this with Barntown in West Des Moines, where we would create these beers for charity, and we would give all the proceeds to a charity.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the first one we did right there, it was Firmly Entrenched.
That looks
See?
terrible. It's red.
It was like a juicy IPA.
Oh.
type. It was really
Oh,
good.
my
It says
God.
blood
really-
orange pale ale.
Yeah, it was really good. Honestly, I wish that we had more of it.
Blood orange pale ale.
We did Firmly Entrenched. We did Transfer Brew, and it had like a silhouette of Hoiberg. It was pretty cool. And then what was the other one? We did 3 of them with those guys. But
Well,
anyways,
you need to do a gambling probe one, and there's a picture of like an Iowa State player, and he's being probed by aliens in his rectum.
The beer thing, real quick, is I said this to a friend the other day, and I mean it. We've tried so hard, Iowa Staters, to not do the little brother thing, and just be, like, and now we have like 4. What is it? And it's just like, and all of them are fine. Like it's the Trice Legacy. It's like they're all individually good things. What we're doing. But, like, if you're an Iowa fan like you're just looking at us and just going, like, just shaking your head at us. Like, I know how this is going. I've been around for too long.
But at the same time, come on, the vodka, the NIL vodka.
And meanwhile, these kids that put a $10 parlay together are losing their eligibility.
And they're using that to pay for the players to go take trips to California, right? Love it.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
How about?
What are we doing?
Do you see what High Rye said for the new Chiswick beer?
What did he? No, I didn't see it.
Jeans, cheese, blank ale. Jeans, cheese, dick ale. I think he said.
What's next? I mean, literally, Iowa's NIL thing has a sponsorship with a casino during all of this.
Well, like that one guy said, the only thing next is the Gentleman's Club.
I mean, it's just
Escort service.
we've lost our way, folks.
Because we're talking NIL beers, NIL casinos, gambling probes, players betting on their own games, taking the under in their own games, and realignment. This is all happening at once.
Can we get furries involved somehow?
How about the guy from where was that guy at? Japan that dressed
The dog, the guy spent $20,000 to
Could he
become
be
a
a
dog.
mascot for somebody? Maybe he could replace the Texas A&M mascot. They've got a border collie, Reveille. He could be a mascot on the sideline. Maybe Dan Campbell, the Lions head coach, he said he wanted a live lion on the sideline. Maybe this guy could make a lion costume and just be a lion on the sideline.
You heard about the
I'd watch
newest
that.
animal controversy, right? With this.
Oh yeah, the bear.
Bears.
The bear.
Keith Murphy wanted us to talk about this so bad. That's not a bear. That is totally a human being. That looks like if I put a bear costume on.
But
He's got a big gut and no ass.
Where is this? China?
Yeah, China.
That is
Didn't
not a
they
real
say-
bear.
Aren't they still saying that that's a real bear?
The
No way.
Hangzhou Zoo. Wow, that's a tongue twister. Located
not
in
a
China,
real bear.
denies social media rumors that the zoo's sun bear is a human in a suit.
A sun bear.
Sun bear.
Why don't you look up what a sun bear looks like, Van Wink, and pull that up?
Look at its ass.
Well, I don't know.
That looks like if I would put a bear costume on. It's got a big gut, no
it
ass.
could just be wrinkled up fur.
Look
You
at
know
its-
what?
Look at its posture.
I think that's a real bear.
No way. No chance.
Why would they? So okay, Van Wink's looking up the sun bear. Yeah. See? Oh, look at that one standing up against the. Does it have wrinkles in its ass? Click on the one where he's standing up there. Yeah. Zoom in on the ass. Well, but that's a. Yes, he's got the wrinkles. That is a real bear, Williams.
It does have wrinkles on its ass. You're right.
It's just a weird sun bear. It's not a bear that we're used to here.
Lightsmith
How
Media.
bad must this bear feel to know the whole world is like, it's a fucking guy.
Look at him just waving though. That's weird. Like, hey everybody.
That is a mascot, is what that is.
I'm with Williams. That's not real.
It's real,
Lightsmith
maybe.
Media says, how about a Brian Ferentz beer? It has to have 25% alcohol content or it gets pulled from the shelves.
It's pretty good. 25%.
I don't think it's technically a beer if it gets to that, but
Yeah, that's almost whiskey level.
that's funny. Oh, okay, so we didn't get to this last week.
What?
Did you see the CIA agent in front
Did I
of
see
Congress
the CIA
under
agent?
oath?
Oh God.
Did you see it? What's your reaction to this? If a former CIA agent under oath in front of Congress says that we've not only recovered alien spacecraft, we have actual aliens that
Let's
the
see
United
'em.
States holds.
Let's see them. Where are they at?
Area
What
51.
do they look like?
You can see Area 51 from Circa. Just look over them mountains.
I was making fun of you to my dad and his wife at dinner one night.
Was your stepsister there?
No. She's not allowed to come out to eat with us anymore.
Pukety
because-
McPuke puke.
Yeah. God, that's disgusting. Just chunks of meat hitting the back of my head in the car. And so I started talking, oh, yeah, Williams. And my dad, he was like, yeah, that Williams, he believes in ghosts. And so my dad's wife goes, oh, yeah, I grew up with a ghost. Like, what? What? Yep, yeah, our house on Highway 38. Yep, it had ghosts in it. And I said, what are you talking about?
She's in touch with the
She
spiritual
says-
side. This is great.
she says that because the house was on this highway, and she's like, yeah, some girl got killed right in front of our house, 75 years ago in a car accident. And so now, we upstairs, I heard it. My parents heard it. There were these male voices talking to each other. I said, well, hang on. A girl gets killed in a car accident, and you're hearing male voices upstairs, and you think that's tied? And she said, well, yeah, they might be like the detectives that came and, they're first on the scene. I don't know much about ghosts, but I know that's not how ghosts work.
Well,
did the detectives also die
there's
at
a
that
lot
time?
that we don't know. So, like, I'll tell you, for instance, I've never had an experience, but I know a person who lives near the Villisca axe murder house. And I've told you about this. A couple of the children that were murdered in the house have gotten tired of all the tourists. And they've moved across the street. And my friend's son will literally be up there in his room playing ball with the ghosts. I'm not kidding you. These kids. They'll like be rolling the ball back and forth
So
with
this
one
is The
another.
Shining.
It happens.
Okay, your
These
dad
ghosts,
has mowed the
they're
axe
not
murder
stuck
house.
in one spot. They're ghosts. They can move around.
Williams, your dad has mowed the axe murder house for how many decades?
Couple.
40? 4
Fertilizes
decades.
for them.
Has he seen any ghosts there? Does he believe in it?
No, I mean, he's never been in the house. He just mows the yard.
But you said they can go anywhere. So why aren't they in the yard? Why aren't the kids out there playing in the yard?
I don't know. Here's the difference between you and me, Chris. Is you think you got it all figured out.
No, I don't. I
yeah,
really
you
do
think
not
you got
think I have it
it.
figured
You
out.
think you know everything about
I don't.
everybody and everything.
I don't.
I have an open mind. I don't know something.
It's fine to have an open mind, but you seem convinced that there are aliens that we have in the United States, and only in the United States, apparently. They only come here. And that just ghosts are, like Eric Murphy said back in the day. Yeah, William's telling this story about how this ghost started knocking the die-cast cars off his uncle's wall. It's like, if I'm a ghost and I'm coming back and I'm screwing with humans, I am not going to go, oh, I'm going to knock off a car from the wall. No, I'm going to come kick you in the nuts and see how you feel. Why has that never happened? Why has a ghost only screwed with stuff like
But that's
a
just
light
me.
switch?
There's millions
why
of
has a
people who
ghost
have
never
experience.
kicked anyone in the balls? It's
don't know about
never
that,
happened.
but-
I've never heard of someone say, you know what? Ghost
They
kicked me in the
scratch
nuts.
people. They've hurt people before. I know a friend, same friend from Villisca. He was at the Farrar schoolhouse, and he got thrown up against a locker by a ghost. Physically thrown against a locker. That happened to Villisca Johnny.
Mental illness is real. It is a big problem. We have to treat these people. Okay? You included.
I am being treated extensively. They just doubled it.
You get back to me if there's ever video of a ghost kicking someone in the balls.
When some year when you come back, Van Winkle, will you open up your camera, please? Van Winkle is a professional videographer. Intern Aiden is a professional videographer. Can we do one of those ghost hunter type shows with Hassel and me? And we're going to go to a
Williams, you won't even see me when I come back.
Well, if we're going to
You
go
won't
on
even see me to have a beer.
if we're going to have
You
a
think
hunt,
we're going to make this whole where we go ghost hunting?
Yes. Yeah.
Where are we going? We going
you
to
and
my-
Ross Peterson talked about this for years, and it never
I
happened.
want to do a show inside the Axe Murder House at night in the dark. There's no electricity there, so we would have to bring a generator.
Well, those kids aren't going to
that'd
like
be
the generator.
fascinating too, because I'm guessing the spirits would seep into the generator to take energy from. That would be fascinating. That happens
Why
all
do
the
they
time.
need energy from things like that?
I don't know. Again, like I don't
So,
claim to.
so Williams, how do ghosts get energy? They They get energy
Well,
from electricity?
Yeah, that's why like a lot of times when you're on a hunt, like your cell phone will just die.
Okay. What did ghosts do like 2,000 years ago?
Well, a lot of times, like you watch these ghost hunter shows, and they have equipment like cameras and stuff. Like Matt,
Yeah.
they'll have like their camcorder or
Okay,
whatever.
those didn't
and all of a
exist
sudden,
2,000
boom,
years ago.
It's just dead.
Okay, where did ghosts just come with the
No, but they have the ability
discovery
to
of
do it. It's
electricity and the harnessing of it?
Like, no, they've always been here.
Ghosts
but now,
didn't exist until we put in power outlets.
You're so arrogant. It's just arrogance. There's nothing more. Like you think you got it all figured
No,
out.
Williams, I can be convinced of ghosts existing, just not by you, because the logic that they have to be like plugged in.
When
If
we're in
ghosts
Vegas in 3
exist
weeks, I'm going to find a
now,
ghost tour
They
for us.
existed 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, you're damn right they did. Absolutely they did.
So where did they get their power from?
Well, they've always had the power, but now it's like we got these thingamajigs and they can steal from it, and it's fun for them.
You know what would be fun for them is kicking a human in the nuts.
Watch that happen tonight. There's some spirit in your house
If
right
I
now.
get kicked in the nuts by a ghost, I will never recover. You'll never see me again.
We're presented by Fairway Meat and Grocery in the Channel Seed Studios. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Jeff Kelderman at Kelderman Manufacturing. We're going to start a weekly segment presented by Kelderman. Bigger, bolder, better. That starts next week.
The Triple B.
The Triple Bs. These guys are great, Hassel. You'll love Kelderman. He's a badass dude.
What can you do to soup up my my Volvo SUV?
We could probably do that in some capacity. Well, how many miles per gallon does that thing get?
Oh, I say 20.
Oh man, my diesel truck gets better than you.
What? I don't. I'm just guessing. I don't know. I don't. My dad. I'll come back and my dad's like, "Oh Jesus Christ, gas is way up today. What's gas down there in Florida?"
Gas is high here now. It has skyrocketed.
I did look yesterday, just because of that conversation I had with my dad, because he was like, "Oh God, it's 341. That's a lot." So I looked yesterday. It's like 420.
Oh, thanks to my buddy Steve sent me this. The other beer that we made with Barntown is called Upon Further Review, and it had a referee like stripes on it. We were mocking Big 12 officials.
Oh,
That was
was
a really
that
good
also
one.
blood red?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
don't
it
strike me as a blood red beer kind of guy.
Well, I mean, the guy Pete there at Barntown's, he's a pro. I just listened to him. Yeah, whatever he says, I roll. That was a really good beer. That
Wow,
was
you're not
fantastic.
kidding. It is blood red. I was just joking around.
It was really, really good. I love Barntown beer. They make really good beer. All right, that's it for today. Listen, guys, I'm gonna be on hold tonight because I think that it could be an eventful night with the Big 12
You're gonna be on hold.
stuff.
You mean you're gonna be on call?
Whatever.
Because being on hold is something different.
Tomorrow is media day in Ames, so
Ooh, that'll
again,
be
like,
juicy.
yeah, I just think that the next.
So
48
tomorrow is when we
hours.
find out all the other guys. That the public is going to find out all the.
I
other
don't know
guys
though.
that-
I don't think we will. I think they're just
Why
going to hold
not?
them out and like they're not going to say anything. I don't think.
Well, yeah, but we'll
see.
know unless they do what we talked about last show, and just hold out like 50 people. Because you say they usually like you have access to 100 guys if you want.
So I was corrected. So I wasn't at media day last year. Mm-hmm. And it's how they did it last year. Is they only made like 20 guys available.
Okay, there you go.
So I'm guessing that's what they do tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks to Matty Van Wink's production. That placenta fuel keeping him going. First couple weeks of a baby.
Yeah,
Flowing
how
through
many
his
how many
blood.
pills do you have there, Van Wink? You can make what 1,000 pills out of that placenta?
You got any extra? Bring it over tonight. He's Chris Hassel. My name's Chris Williams, signing off.
What are you doing? Can you put the placenta in the smoker? I bet that would be good.
Smoked placenta. Available at Fairway. Have a great Thursday, everyone. Take care.